Woke up Sunday morning, Salvation Army at my door, playing on with Christian soldiers till I couldn't take it anymore. I ran across the graves at night with those three witches at my tail. I heard the wail of the now and the evermore, all things are never equal.
There you are, in all your orange splendor. Holy crap, it's Colin Hay.
Are you in the Hudson Valley?
Yeah, I am. How'd you know that?
Oh, I just found out somehow. I read a bit about you, but so I'm just kind of fascinated by the Hudson Valley. Have you got a bit of do you live are there rolling hills near you?
There are rolling hills. I mean, there's a river as you and there's mountains on the other side. Well, there's mountains because it is a valley. There's mountains to the east, the mountains to the west.
Yeah.
It's a spectacular. I've been living in New York City for decades, Colin, and I had originally figured, when my son, who is 17, goes to college, I was going to finally make the move. I think I needed just to
get out. To
get in, maybe just go somewhere new.
Go somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, I always look out the window wistfully in New York, wishing I could see mountains because I just love to see it. And so finally now I can, and I have not gotten tired. I've been here like a year and a half. It's a big change, but I really have not regretted a moment of it,
Yeah. That's where I was brought up in Scotland was Ayrshire, which is dairy country, and it rains a lot there, but there were lots of beautiful, rolling hills, not too many forests, but there were the occasional woods and so forth, woodlands and stuff like that, but it was so beautiful. And then you would come across some old, turreted castle that still had some huge old cannons facing the sea. And but I've lived here and then I went to Australia, and of course it was a completely different kind of landscape there. And but when I came to live in the United States, I always loved that real, green, resplendent part of the States. I guess that's because it rains there too. You get.
But, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's a beautiful part of the world, though. And does it snow where you are too?
Yeah, it snows up here. Yeah, for sure. There's so much snow. Yeah. Well, you know what it was? That we had this ice storm, essentially.
Right.
Do you remember that Ang Lee movie? It was like it was just all the trees were just like encased in ice. It was beautiful, but it's not really great for the trees.
Kind of scary in a way, because that's the shape of things to come.
That's right. That's right. Well, this is an environmental podcast, so we'll just talk about environmental.
There's little else. There's little else really when it all comes down to it.
Yeah. I'm just so thrilled because I met you in 2008, by the way. I think it was 2008 at a show you were doing with, I believe, William Fitzsimmons. Like you were he was the opening act.
Right. Yeah, I remember the guy. Yeah.
And he's good. He's guy. Good. Yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
He's a real, like one of those very like balladeer type. Writing about his pain. And so, but he's a lovely guy. I know he wrote some wonderful, but I was just so thrilled. Anyway, it was a wonderful night, and it's taken this long. I'm wondering what's taking you so long to get on my podcast.
Well, how long have you been doing it
I'm,
for?
I'm placing the blame on you. No, 2011. So I have no excuse. It's my fault.
Yeah, well, it's taken me almost 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've been keeping
I
up.
don't know what I've been doing.
Well, you've been making some pretty spectacular albums, and I started to. You made your COVID album more recently,
Yeah.
which was like a really I just loved it because the songs you chose. Well, they didn't surprise me, but it
Yeah.
was some of my favorite songs were in there.
Yeah, it wasn't really there weren't really very many surprises, but I didn't really particularly want to go searching for, obscure great songs. I would just come down the studio, and it just happened quite spontaneously because Jerry Marsden had just passed away, and well, a few months before, but I was reading about him again, and I was a big fan of Jerry and the Pacemakers, and I just started playing around with "Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying,"
Yeah, that's a great
and
song.
yeah, those don't let the sun catch you crying. I thought, well, that's good. I'll just that sounds nice.
Was a treat.
I'll record that. So and then I sent it to my friend Chad Fisher, who's my oldest friend here, and he just orchestrated it. And he said, "Oh, send me something else." And so I would just get up on another day, and I wouldn't kind of look at song lists and stuff like that. I would just think about songs that had some kind of particular resonance with me when I was growing up. Like Waterloo Sunset was playing in the sound system when I was leaving the United Kingdom to go to Australia. So that was a big song. So I did that. So I just kind of based it on that, just songs that kind of came into my consciousness when I was thinking about what kind of record to make.
Another one that's a wonderful song that's also come back into my consciousness. Waterloo Sunset's amazing. And then another song on that album, and by the way, I'm burying the lead because there is actually a brand new album, which we'll talk about. But the other one that was on there that starts, I believe, in a major seventh chord is Wichita Lineman.
Yeah, that's
also
right.
Another one, right? That would have been huge when you were a young man.
Yeah, around 68, when I was already in Australia, and I started listening to it. All came from the fact that I was already out playing in folk clubs and kind of clubs, playing solo acoustic guitar and singing. And so you're always looking for, songs by singer-songwriters or guys that were standing there, or playing guitars. So Glenn Campbell was having all these hits with By the Time I Get to Phoenix and Wichita Lineman and Galveston,
Galveston, sure.
And so I became quite obsessed with those. But then, I realized that he didn't write them. I didn't realize it straight away, but I thought, oh, another person wrote the songs, Jimmy Webb. And I thought to myself, oh, you can actually be a songwriter, and not have to perform the songs. And that was a big eye opener for me. I thought, oh, this is interesting. It's because the Beatles changed the landscape in a way by performing all those great songs they wrote, but that wasn't necessarily the way, but Wichita Lineman also had, it spoke to me of landscape, and, mystical landscape that I didn't really understand, and alignment. What does a lineman do? And it was full of intrigue to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me too.
And still is.
So does it feel like when you tackle the song, what is that then once you've put it out in the world, how does it feel?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I really loved making that record because it wasn't like it was an emotional little journey, because one thing was happening was that there was so much horror and death, out in the world of people, you know, dying from suffocation and on ventilators, and you know, hundreds of thousands of people. And so I just thought, well, I'll stay down here in my studio, not go anywhere,
Hunker down.
and think about songs that I love. And so and it was you know, there wasn't the pressure of well, not my songs, you know, there's other people's songs. And so all it really was trying to you know, pay homage to the song and let the song speak, so to speak.
As I've come around and I've listened to your albums, as you know, over the years, and this new one, which is called Now and the Evermore, which is out, by the way, March 18th on Compass Records, but I think you're like a closet, like this is your Sinatra album, and that's like you, I think you kind of want to be a singer, like you are a singer. You've always been singing through your entire career. But at first it was like the band, then it's the solo career, singer-songwriter, and but I think there's something about interpreting, like that album was your way of just being pure music, being immersed in pure music level as a singer, an interpreter of music. So it had to really touch your core, is my feeling.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and it was so exciting to sing those songs, because I mean, I played the guitars as well, but what the brief that I gave myself, this is for the covers record you're talking about, right?
Yeah, but also segueing into the new one too, because the new one is very orchestrated in a way that is different, I felt.
That's right. So they speak to one another in that sense. Or the covers record informed the next one in a way, because of I think because of the vocals, like you quite
brilliantly, astutely. So many words come to mind.
Well, in my case, none of them came to mind at that particular moment, but yes, since that you astutely picked up on the fact that the vocals were really important in the covers record, but I tried to record them in a way where if I just left guitar and voice, if it was just a guitar and voice record, it would have been okay. So I didn't stress or get really pedantic about it or anything, but I just noticed that when I went in to sing the songs, they sounded really good to me, and I was just by myself, and so I got my couple of my friends and Cecilia, my wife, to come down and said, this is pretty good, right? And a couple of them were crying at a song, and I thought, oh, this is working. That's not so bad. And so it was surprising to me. I think it was just because of the fact that you revisit these pieces of music when you sing them, and you realize that how much they mean to you at an internal level. So I just didn't really, I didn't, that's all I did. I just really sat down and sang the songs and just sent them off. And then I didn't do anything else until Chad sent me back the orchestrations. And I thought, oh, this really works really well. And we just mixed it, and there it was. It only took like a month and a half to record.
That's kind of how long does it typically to get people
a record? Well,
like
probably a few months, maybe, but it went down pretty quickly. And then the next one, I had a lot of songs. I had maybe 25 songs or something for the next record. So I had to kind of whittle it down to 10 songs. And then the songs that seemed to make sense or that went together, I mean, there's some songs that got left off that I really love, but I think that the reasons why the songs on the Now and the Evermore record are on there is because they just felt good together. It was like they belonged together. And one of the reasons why that's the case was because of the orchestration and the strings and so forth. And so that just created a mood, if you like, I like to put records on, and for records to, you know, take you on a bit of a trip, you know, that you want to go on. So that's what I think that's what this record's become.
Again, it's called Now and the Evermore, and the title track, which is the first track on the album, includes a drummer
Yeah.
named Ringo.
Ringo,
not familiar with him, but it's a cute
Yeah.
name.
It is a nice name. Yeah, it's a good name.
Is he an old friend or something?
Well, you could say that. I mean, not really. I wouldn't say an old friend, but I've known him for quite some time now. Maybe 20 years or so, almost. Or more.
Well, you toured with him. I'm joking, of course. You toured. You were one of the Ringo All-Star.
Yeah,
musicians.
there's very few people in the world can get by just on the one name, isn't it? You know, you just know who that is. So, you know, there's only a few. He's one of them, definitely. No, when I came up with this music for this song, I had the music sitting around for ages, like a couple of years on my iPhone. I liked the music to it, and I thought I wasn't quite sure what it was about, but it reminded me of my childhood, of growing up in the music shop in Scotland, and and being, you know, mesmerized by the Beatles, really. So it was clearly even the chordal structure and the way it's put together is my attempt at trying to, you know, get close to how an arrangement that perhaps they would have done, you know. So that's really so consequently I always imagined Ringo playing on it, and but it wasn't finished. And then I kind of wrote the lyrics when the pandemic happened, because, you know, life was not the same. People were dying, and I thought, well, this could, who knows what's going to happen before they had the vaccine. And I thought, well, this is very, very scary stuff. So I thought to myself, well, if you love somebody, you should tell them that, you know, that life is not going to be, you know, what it was. And so it just became a little bit of, the song became informed by that reality, if you like. And so then when I finished the song, I called Ringo and I asked him if he would play on it. And he said, yeah, sure, send it over.
You have them on your phone and you just call up a Beatle.
Well, you know, I'm trying to remember if I actually did call him. I think that I might have sent him a text, and he got back to me, and his engineer got back to me and said, yeah, send the track. And I sent the track, and then he sent the track back, and a couple of days later gave me a call and asked me if it was okay. He said, you know, use me or lose me, I don't care. So and it was great. It was fantastic. So the first thing you hear on the record is a drum fill by Ringo, which is I'm very happy about.
That is pretty exciting. When you again, you were part of this group of a stable of his regular friends who were part of his all-star band, which had a number of tours not that long ago. How did that? I'm sure people are really interested also in how that originally came about. How did you hook up with Ringo originally?
Well, I guess you know, you end up on a list at some point, you know, because when Ringo's putting together his tours, they look at people who are still around and who had hits themselves.
Sure.
Who can still stand up and play and you know, and play the songs and sing the songs.
Sure.
And so I just got the call. They said, would you want to go out on tour with Ringo? On that particular tour, it was Sheila was playing the drums. Sheila E was playing drums. John Waite was playing bass from the Babies, and Paul Carrick, the great Paul Carrick, was playing keyboards, and I was playing guitar. So it was a very tight, you know, quite a trim little band.
Ensemble.
It wasn't, yeah.
You were playing rhythm guitar, though. Is that what you said?
Well, I was playing all the guitars, and which was quite stretch for me. I wasn't, not being known for my blazing lead work, but I had to cover a lot of guitar ground, which, I think it was okay in the end. I think it was fine. But yeah, there was quite a lot of ground to cover there.
I'm sure that it was a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, I felt that. I felt that definitely.
Well, I have a vivid memory of buying when I was must have been pretty young. It must have been when of course
Business as usual.
Yeah, business as usual. Thank you. I don't know how you knew I was going to say that, but I was trying to remember.
Oh, well, I only had two, so I figured it would have been the first one.
But I bought that LP, the vinyl album. Of course, there were no CDs yet. With A Flock of Seagulls, those two albums that day. That was my.
You could buy a record with another record. That's interesting.
It were two arbitrary choices, which I don't know. I mean, I guess I must have heard yours. I must have heard it. But it could have also been just the
hard to avoid at that particular time.
Kind of. Well, I also love the album cover was so great. And then flash forward 20 years later, I ended up working at Sony Music, which distributed the album.
Yeah,
your albums. So I rebought Cargo and everything. But I had already been listening. I had already been well aware by that point. It was in the mid to late 90s. Your solo career was also quite
stumbling along.
Well, you have a really dedicated fan base.
I do, and I'm very lucky to have that. And it came out of nothing in a way. It's become a cliche now, hasn't it? That expression, something out of nothing. But I was shocked when I arrived in Los Angeles to live some 30 odd years ago, 32 years ago or something. And I had a record deal and I made one record and then I got dropped. I got dropped by MCA Records. And so I found myself just on my, not really knowing what to do next. And so I just started going out on the road because it's all I could think of to do. I said, well, I mean, I can play and I can sing. So I didn't have anyone to put tours together really. So they were put together in quite a sporadic fashion. So I started doing that, and I did that for 13 years
really?
before I started working with Compass Records. I started working with Compass Records in 2003. So from like 1990, I started touring, and I was on. When I think about it now, it astonishes me because it's such a long time to just be going out there making records and just going out in support of them to the fans that you're talking about. Like I didn't know how to distribute a record and so forth. So people would write to me, and I would get a little paper bag and go down to the post office and just send it off to them, and I did that for a long time. So my life as an independent, record executive was very inefficient, to say the least. But it got the ball rolling at least, because there was really I really didn't really have any other choice, and so I put a studio in my basement because I thought, well, I don't want to have to, go and ask people permission if I can make a record, anymore. So it turned out to be, in retrospect, a little bit of a kind of an interesting model for people. Like, I wasn't poor, so I could put together enough equipment that I could make a record, and then I could kind of, at least I could, over here in the valley, I could get it manufactured, and then I could go out on the road and I could sell it, so it became like a little cottage industry that a lot of people have adopted, not because of me, but it just seemed to be.
It might have been something that started to occur to a number of musicians like yourself.
Yeah.
In other words, that this is, and also the record companies, the big record companies weren't going to serve you anymore. They
weren't interested. No, they weren't interested at all. You're well past your use by date,
Right. And there's a community in Los Angeles, right, of like-minded musicians, first of all, right, that will work with you, but also probably trying to do similar things. So I imagine there was a network. I don't know if you were a regular Largo or
Yeah.
if you were, you know.
Yeah, I played at Largo since that, but since it started since '91, because Flanagan was who owns Largo was one of the first people that I met here when I came.
I see.
So I, when he started Largo, I said, he asked me to play there. It was one of the first people to play, and then there was John Bryan would play every Friday night, and I would play every Saturday night, and then a little bit later, a few years later, Elliott Smith would play, and Grant Lee Phillips would play, a whole Amy Mann, and it was a whole lots of people. Huh?
Yeah, that was exciting, that period.
Yeah. Well, I still play there, so,
yeah, no.
So it's kind of still exciting.
Still exciting.
Yeah.
So that's good segue into what the plan is as the spring is looking more hopeful. Obviously, a lot of musicians are booking and scheduling tours and dates, and so how are you planning to support now in the Evermore, which is available for pre-order? I hear.
Yes,
currently.
I go out March 18th to coincide with the release date of the record. It's my first show. I think it's in Colorado, Port Collins, I think. And then I'm out, for March, April, May, not the whole time, but I'm out for a good 3 months.
Wow!
In support of this record, and then I go back out with Ringo again, May and June, and then nice. I have some other summer stuff to do, and then more Ringo, and then I go to Australia to do a solo thing. So it's a kind of a formidable year of touring, to be honest, but making up for the last 2 years of non-touring. But I'm really looking forward to the solo tour more than anything coming up, because I haven't been out for a couple of years. And, my agent tells me that it's selling well, which is nice to know in this age of Omicron.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really looking forward to playing, solo again for those audiences, because they really are, as you say, quite a dedicated bunch of people. So I'm looking forward to doing it.
And the intimacy, you can deliver intimacy in those situations that you could do, obviously, with a small band too. Yeah. And probably, but it's very special.
Well, there's something that harkens back to when I first started to do it, to around 91, 92, and so that's I think that's the circle, if you like. I go, okay, I want to do one of those again, because I can take the band out, or I could do it with 2 or 3 different musicians and stuff, which is also great to do. But I think that there's a lot of people, and I myself just sometimes really just like that, the one-on-one, if you like, of standing up there and trying to deliver a good night out to people just by myself. There's something challenging in that,
Well, I hope your tour brings you to, well, I can go see you in New York City too. I mean, but there's something nice about seeing you. Like, you should come to the Hudson Valley, since it holds a little bit of a mystique to you, or
Now, where would you go and see somebody in the Hudson Valley? Because I have played outside in that part of the world before, but I can't remember the names of the places I've played. But they're all quite small.
There's a number of spots. I mean, I know, like, I'm supposedly going on Saturday. I'm working now in a radio station up here. This is, nothing. It's just coincidence. I'm back in the music business. And so there's a number of venues that we're sort of connected with. And one is a place in Beacon, New York, which is a bit south of where I am, but it's quite accessible to the city too. And they have a place called crap, I'm going to forget now. There's a spot though.
There's a nice spot in Beacon.
It's called the Town Crier. I just remembered. And then
I think I've played in the Town Crier.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think I played there a long time ago.
And then in Albany, which is not terribly far from me. It's a bit north for me.
The Egg. The Egg.
There's the Egg, exactly,
Yeah.
and then there's a place called the Linda. I don't know.
I usually play at the Egg when I go
The
to
Egg.
to Albany.
Is that a cool spot?
Yeah, great.
And then the other place, which is not that close, it's probably a good hour east of here in Connecticut, is the Infinity Hall, I guess.
Yeah, I play that. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I'm sure
and
you
the
played.
Ridgefield Playhouse I play also
Uh-huh.
in Connecticut.
But that's not the Hudson Valley. But
No.
but there's got to be other spots too. And that, I guess, and I don't know if there, but what kind of performance space it has. But I know that like, remember, city right on the cusp of the beginning of the lockdown. What's his name? Dorf from City Winery. What's his name? They owned a place on the other side of the river, but it's in Montgomery, New York. They have the City Winery there, but I don't know if they're performing there. But
well, I have this. It's all done now, so it's all, it's all booked.
I see. Well, there's my apartment. Come in, I'll. I
see you have a guitar there.
Yeah. Well, it's been, I've said this before, but I've been playing since I was a kid, and I've written a bunch myself, but I just since the pandemic, of course, the level of reconnection to that it's been spectacular. It's been so important, and it's been life altering in only the best ways. I feel like I reconnected to a part of myself that I lost for a long time. I don't know how I got to that. How I lost it. Yeah,
that was one of the most interesting parts of the pandemic, I think, was how those feelings got intensified. Of kind of maybe walking along and dropping behind you what you don't need anymore. And just concentrating on what you feel is essential. And it has its own kind of liberation to it.
That's exactly right. So I leave it out all the time now. I don't put it in a case if I don't have to.
Yeah, that's right.
One less step to grab it and just hold
that's
it and
right.
play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You usually talk about films and stuff, right?
Yes, it's true, but not exclusively. I know you've had, you have a long-standing I know you have a relationship with Zach Braff. I could have talked about these things. You have participated in a number of films.
I've done little bits and pieces over the years, but my oldest and closest friend in Melbourne's an actor, a guy called Kim Ginjo. He's been in lots of film and television and stuff, but I've done a bit of stuff. I did a film called Cosy in Australia, and which was a nice film to do, directed by a guy called Mark Joffa. And but this, and then growing up, going to Australia, films like, I don't know if have you seen Wake and Fright?
Yes, of course. Matter of fact, that director, who's not Australian,
no, Canadian guy, right?
He's a Canadian, right? He did the North. Anyway, he did my podcast.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, years ago, because they re-released it. I assume a new print, etc., restored. But that I've seen it a couple of times. It's really a scary movie.
It really is, and it really captured something about the Australian psyche, which is not really, it's not really commonly known. And it's all to do with addiction and alcohol and boredom and
right.
malevolence and patriarchy, all those things, but an amazing, it really is an amazing film. I was just, because when I was going to talk to you, I just started to think about films that had a lasting impression, that's definitely one of them.
I almost regret sometimes that I ended up calling the show, Filmwax, because I, just want to talk to people that I want to talk to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not
maybe we could do something some other time, and we'll talk about pictures.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. I would love that. We could totally, and also I'll be a little bit more prepared for that too, because I don't want to sound like a jerk. Not being prepared for,
I think
there's the Wicker Man, and there's
oh man, oh yeah, the Wicker Man, my God. That was such a great film. Edward Woodward.
Yeah, and he's amazing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
That was my favorite. That was my favorite version of that film. That was the original because
now,
they
is he
did
in
it
Breaking
again.
Moran? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was in Breaking Moran. Yeah. Edward Woodward. It's a funny word to say, a funny name to say quickly, or else if you're a little bit drunk. Like if you say it quickly, you go Edward Woodward. And if you say it when you're drunk, it's like Edward Woodward. Edward Woodward.
Which is how most people actually do say his name.
Yeah,
turns out.
Edward Woodward. Yeah. The Wicker Man was great. Yeah, that was.
Do we
really
have
good.
that Robert Redford too?
Yeah, I got him. Yeah. What else? I love.
Here's something I'll tell you. I mentioned I have a 17-year-old, so he's been coming up every, on the weekends, and finally, it's this generation where they just kind of gaming and on the
that's right.
But I got him. He knows how much films are part of my world, so he agreed to watch The Godfather, and he really liked it. Yeah,
right.
I just didn't. Because we've done movie nights, and I've introduced him to like Young Frankenstein, Close Encounters, ones that I knew were more as a teenager he would like enjoy.
Yeah.
And when he saw, he just loved those movies. But when I showed him The Godfather, it was a slow thing. But then he started to understand why it's so good and dense and rich. And so then he texted me about watching part 2 on his next visit. So I keep on going back and watching little bits of that film, The Godfather, like when Marlon Brando's in the, when he's in his study with Johnny Fontaine, with Al Martino, and be a man.
Oh, it's so awesome.
What do you cry like a woman? Be a man, for God's sake!
It's so awesome. Yeah.
And Luke
practicing. Yeah. A film that really stayed with me and scared the shit out of me when I watched it was the original film, that European film. Maybe it was Dutch, I can't remember, but it was called The Vanishing. Do you remember that film?
Oh my God, sure.
That was horrendous. That was so disturbing.
So disturbing that they actually did an American version of it some years later.
I know, but then they changed the end.
Oh, I didn't see it. Never went to see it.
It was ridiculous. Yeah.
With Kiefer Sutherland, right?
And was it Kiefer Sutherland or was it?
So.
Maybe. And was it Jeff Bridges? Was he in it?
I don't remember because again, I did not watch it because a lot of the American versions.
Yeah.
They'll ruin it, or they'll exactly repeat the original. And so why are you what's the point?
Right.
But that's a terrifying movie.
It is.
Very
terrifying.
It was like about being buried alive, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I hate to be.
Yeah. That's my biggest fear.
Oh, it's unless you're buried alive with the right person.
Oh, no.
Which case you'll say your wife. But no. There's something wrong with my even having said that, I think. But it doesn't turn out well. No, it's everybody's worst fear. There have been movies that have done it and somehow they've gotten out and it still doesn't quite, but have you seen, I just had on the actor from a new movie from Norway. Have you seen this new movie, The Worst Person in the World?
I've only just heard about it. A friend of mine went to see it yesterday, but I haven't seen the film yet.
Well, check it out. Because I think you'll it's special. The guy and the director, he's really good.
It looks really beautiful. I watched the trailer.
Yeah.
It looks like a beautifully shot film.
Yeah, the director also did my show some years ago with an earlier film. But he's a really director on the rise, Joachim Trier.
All right.
Just but I can go through Sunny and maybe after the tour, I don't know, we can maybe that's best when it winds down.
Yeah, exactly.
In between Ringo
and the summer, maybe around June. Oh no, July.
Sure. I'm not booked.
Yeah, in July would be nice because that's, you know, I'm going to be home in July for most of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a break,
A
or is
little
it the end
break.
of the tour? Because
Oh,
you're
it's
going to go.
between tours. Yeah, between
Well,
Ringo's tour and my own tour.
okay. Well, it sounds like an exciting year ahead, though.
It is. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with it.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And I
My
mean,
pleasure.
really, it's such a treat. I have a lovely photo of you and me back in 2008,
Uh-huh.
which I'll maybe I'll put at the end, like, you know, when I edit this thing together. And I'll put, is there a video or something for the first song single?
There's a video. There's a video for the acoustic version of Now in the Evermore.
Okay.
That I did a little while ago, and then there's also a video coming out for the second song, "Love Is Everywhere," which hopefully will be out by Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's soon. That's nice. That's just,
yeah.
That
Now,
sounds like you're marketing something when you say it that way.
I know. Well, it's true. I mean, it's, you know,
Yeah.
it seems an obvious thing, but you think, oh yeah, well, love is everywhere. Oh, it's Valentine's Day. You know, it's
Sure.
It wasn't my idea, but you know, it seems to make sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
now I have a question for you just before. That sofa behind you, is that comfortable? That sofa behind you?
It is comfortable. I have a very thick mattress on it. That's why.
You do? Okay, all right.
It's not. It doesn't work really as a couch. I actually sleep on it.
You sleep on it? Okay.
Yeah, I pull it out. But it only works because it's like a 10-inch
right
thick, I think.
Excellent. Maybe. Yeah, I was just wondering. I thought that looks comfortable, but you never know. Sometimes they're a bit lumpy, those sofas.
No, it's not.
I mean, good.
I'm just in a very small. I moved up here. The place I was going to move kind of fell through, Colin, and so I literally found this in the last minute, you know, on Craigslist. You know,
really?
That it was just an apartment to rent. Like, wow. You know, I think eventually maybe, you know, I'll get a house or small little spot. I don't need much. I don't believe in having a lot of, like, you probably the LA kind of style bungalow house, which is, I
have a small place really. When if you think about Los Angeles, you know, I mean, it's great for us. There's only the two of us here and Rico the dog. But you know, it's really just a 1-bedroom house. I mean, it was 2 bedrooms, and I did a ridiculous thing as far as real estate go. I turned a 2-bedroom house into a 1-bedroom house. But now I have a studio in the basement, and it's really great. You know,
and you have the yard.
I got a yard, yeah.
Which I know you shot a lot of. I watched a lot of your videos over the pandemic.
It's a beautiful
really enjoyed those.
Little yard, yeah.
People should go to your YouTube page while we're saying. I'll put the links at the end though,
all right,
so people can know to go to your YouTube page and subscribe to that, because it's a lot of fun. You have a lot of fun stuff on there.
Cool.
And all your wife is on there singing with you, of course, and other friends.
Yeah.
So well, if you're not moving out, why not? I mean, maybe. So you'll just have to sell to another musician if you ever move out. That's all.
Well, yeah, that's right. I'm dug in here. You know.
What neighborhood are you, by the way?
I live in Topanga Canyon, which is between Santa Monica and Malibu. You know, it's like where all the hippies went in the 60s.
Yeah, sure.
But it's not. It suits me. I like. It's not for everyone, but I really like it.
Yeah, I was there a couple of times during the pandemic.
It's got some hills and dales, you know. It's got some relief to it, you know. Well, if you ever come back out, you know, you should let me know.
I will. I appreciate that. And maybe there's kind of a little bit of a connection. This is such a beautiful spot over here. So
yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Area though. Yeah. If I drive a half hour to the east, there's the Berkshires. If I go 20 minutes or so to the west, I'm in the Catskill Mountains. If you go north, you got the Adirondack. I mean, it sounds like more mountains than you may want, but and then the river.
Yeah.
The river runs right through the Hudson.
Fantastic.
Takes you right down to New York City.
So you have your own little paradise there.
It is.
Enjoy yourself.
So beautiful. It's spectacular. You know. So anyway, thanks again.
No, my pleasure. I'm going to go off now and walk the dog. Speaking of the dog, he's looking at me.
Rico?
Yeah, he's looking at me right now.
When I, yeah, that's what reminds me. When we get to Miami, you can't call me Ratso anymore. You got to call me
Yeah,
Rico.
gotta call me Rico.
Call me Rico. Call me Rico.
I'm walking here. Yeah. All right.
All right. Have a good
See
night.
you later.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Bye.